How do we grow? It's probably the biggest question every single business leader has to face. But honestly, navigating growth can feel like you're sailing in the dark without a map. Well, today, we're going to pull out a really powerful framework. Think of it as a strategic map that the top consultants use to find their way. When the world's biggest companies hit a wall or face some crazy, complex challenge, who do they call? Strategic consultants. And let me tell you, these pros don't just rely on a gut feeling. They show up with a whole toolkit packed with powerful frameworks designed to slice and dice problems and find crystal clear solutions. And here's just a little peek into that very toolkit. You've got frameworks for digging into the competition, like Porter's 5 Forces, or for checking a company's internal health, like the McKinsey 7S. Each one is like a specialized instrument for a very specific job. But what happens when the problem isn't about your competitors or your internal teams, but just pure, simple expansion? When the one question that keeps everyone up at night is, where do we go from here? Consultants reach for a very specific and very powerful tool. All right, so here's our game plan. We've just talked about the consultant's toolkit. Next, we're going to introduce the Ansoff Growth Matrix itself. Then we'll dive deep into its 4 quadrants, see how to actually put it to work, and finally, we'll nail down the big takeaway you can use. So let's get right into it, the Ansoff Growth Matrix. Now, this isn't just another boring business model, it's your strategic map, and it's designed for one single purpose, to guide your growth strategy. At its heart, the definition is actually pretty simple. The Ansoff Matrix is a tool that helps you organize your thinking around growth. It takes that huge, messy question of how do we grow and breaks it down into clear, manageable options. And this is absolutely the best way to understand it. Don't picture some boring grid on a spreadsheet. No, think of it as a real map. A map with 4 main territories to explore. And each one has its own terrain, its own opportunities, and its own dangers. So, if this is our map, we've got to understand the different paths it's showing us, right? These are the 4 fundamental strategies for business growth, and getting a handle on them is the key to using this matrix effectively. So, how does this map actually work? What are its coordinates? Well, it's all built on 2 simple axes that basically define the entire landscape of growth. See, the whole matrix is built on 2 simple questions. First, are we going to focus on the products we already have, or are we going to create something new? And second, are we going to sell to the markets we already know, or venture out and find new ones? Those 2 choices create our 4 paths. Okay, path number 1, market penetration. This is basically home base on our map. You're not changing what you sell, and you're not changing who you sell it to. The goal is just to sell more of it. Think things like loyalty programs, price tweaks, or maybe some aggressive marketing to grab a bigger slice of the pie you're already in. Next up, product development. With this one, you stick with the customers you know and love, but you offer them something new and exciting. Apple is the absolute master of this. They have this incredibly loyal customer base, and they just consistently roll out new products, iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, to sell to that exact same audience. Path 3 is market development. This is all about taking something you already do really well and finding a whole new audience for it. Maybe that means expanding to a new city or even a new country. Or it could mean finding a new demographic. Like, think of a shoe company that's huge with athletes, and then they start marketing those same shoes as a high fashion item. And finally, we have diversification. This is by far the most adventurous path on our map. You're creating new products and you're going after new markets. At the same time, it's like what Virgin did, going from records to airlines to space travel. You're really stepping into completely uncharted territory here. And here it is, the complete map. You can see exactly how those 2 axes, products and markets, create our 4 very distinct strategies. Market penetration up in the top left, that's our safest bet. Diversification down in the bottom right, that's our boldest move. Pretty much every growth strategy a company could possibly pursue fits somewhere on this map. Okay, so we've got our map, but a good explorer doesn't just look at the destinations. They have to assess the journey itself. And in business, that means really understanding the risk that comes with each of these paths. And this is absolutely critical to get. As you move away from that top left corner of the map, away from what you already know how to do, the stakes get higher. Growth and risk, they really do go hand in hand. You can see that risk progression so clearly here. Market penetration is the lowest risk. You're on familiar ground. Product or market development, that's a step up in risk because you're changing one big variable. But diversification, that's high-risk territory because you're changing both variables at once and pretty much venturing into the unknown. So, as we start to wrap up our little exploration of this powerful tool, what's the single most important thing to remember? I mean, why do top consultants keep coming back to this simple little grid over and over again? Well, here's why it matters so much. The Ansoff Matrix takes what could be a totally chaotic brainstorming session about growth and turns it into a structured, logical conversation. It makes sure you consider all 4 options, and it forces you to be brutally honest about the risk you're willing to take on. It's simple, for sure, but its power is in that simplicity. In the end, we started by calling it a map, right? Something that shows you all the possible places you could go. But it's actually more than that. It's also a compass. By forcing you to weigh risk versus reward, it helps you choose a direction and actually commit to a path. It turns possibilities into a deliberate strategy. The truth is, every business has this map. The only question left is which territory are you equipped to explore and which destination holds the most promise for you? So, where will you go first?